It's time for Debrief, your quick wrap-up of TRT World's top stories from the week.
Hello.
Geldi mi o?
Aşağıda.
Bum, 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 bum.
In this hour in Lebanon with this breaking news, Israeli strikes hitting the southern suburbs of the capital, Beirut. The latest escalation comes after President Donald Trump signaled an understanding with Iran.
It was on one of the roads leading to one of the main squares in Dahia. It's reportedly owned by one of the local municipalities of this building.
We're just getting news through the Reuters news agency from the Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, who has said following intensive talks, we are pleased to announce that a peace deal between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran has been reached. Of course,
they are now saying that this deal will be signed off on, probably electronically.
The role of Israel remains prominent as Tel Aviv continues its military campaign against Hezbollah. Trump and Netanyahu have repeatedly clashed over Israel's refusal to halt its attacks on Hezbollah.
Israeli media reports U.S. President Donald Trump has called for a reduction in Israel's military presence in Lebanon, while Vice President J.D. Vance has advocated a gradual withdrawal. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel intends to remain.
We are staying there because we need to protect the residents of the north. We also have interests that we need to preserve, including our freedom of action.
They should have been able to do the job faster. It just goes on forever. And when that happens, it throws a negative light on the big deal.
One side is the U.S. and Israel, on the other side is Iran and Hezbollah, and the end of the war in Lebanon is an inseparable part of the complete end of the war.
The savior of Israel is now portrayed as the devil who is selling Israel out to the Iranian, and there are Israelis who really don't take seriously what Netanyahu said yesterday, that actually it's even embarrassing to hear that he said that as long as he will still be the Prime Minister of Israel, the Iranian nuclear threat is over.
A statement by the Unified Joint Command of the Armed Forces of Iran says that Israel has violated the ceasefire in Lebanon 84 times over the course of the past 2 days since Iran and the United States digitally signed this MOU.
The US President Donald Trump has hailed an interim deal with Iran set to extend the ceasefire by 60 days until a permanent agreement is reached. A US official says Iran has agreed to destroy its enriched uranium stockpile. Now, before the signing of a permanent deal, Iran must show that it's taken the steps to comply with orders to allow the free flow of maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. And in the event a permanent deal is reached, the US would lift crippling sanctions on Iran.
Now the White House has released it. We've gone through it. We see what the MOU, the 14 points in this MOU, and now the White House is going to have to defend this.
What the president gets grown frustrated sometimes is that we seem to be right on the cusp of a major breakthrough in the agreement, and then all of a sudden there's a major explosion that goes off in a civilian population center in Beirut.
So you don't have to knock down buildings in Beirut. They could behave better.
The clock now counting down the 60 days to try to hammer out some type of final agreement. Many people in this country, here in Lebanon, are wondering if it will all fall apart.
11,000 cancer patients remain trapped in Gaza, despite a call from American lawmakers for Israel to allow them to seek treatment elsewhere.
We have systematic destruction of hospitals and medical centers. Cancer treatment almost nowhere to be found in Gaza.
Israel's Supreme Court has rejected an appeal to release a prominent Palestinian doctor, Hussam Abu Safia, who's been held without charge now for more than 500 days.
He did not receive medical treatment and did not get the medications he needed as a result of his chronic illness.
His lawyer also says he's been beaten.
The number of fatalities in Gaza since the ceasefire has now jumped to over 1,000. Meanwhile, as temperatures rise, suffering increases.
The situation is especially difficult for some 1.7 million displaced people in the Gaza Strip. living in a makeshift encampment.
The UN report on children in armed conflict cites Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory with the highest number of grave violations.
In Gaza, a child is killed every day despite a ceasefire agreement in place since October.
Let's be clear what that means. These children were not killed in a war zone. They were killed in their homes. They were killed in their schools. They were killed playing football. They were killed fishing. They were shot. They were bombed. They were struck by quadcopters.
An independent report by the Global Echo Litigation Center has revealed Europe's complicity in financing Israel's expansion into occupied Palestinian territories via export.
Israeli forces and illegal settlers have stormed several towns in the occupied West Bank, attacking Palestinian residents and destroying properties. Troops fired stun grenades, tear gas and live ammo during the night. In one incident in the town of Al-Mughayr, a 15-year-old girl was hospitalized after being shot in the shoulder by Israeli forces.
Nearly a dozen countries have condemned Israel for a recent spate of arson attacks on mosques in the occupied West Bank, which Palestinian officials say were torched by illegal settlers. Foreign ministers from across the Middle East and parts of Asia have said settler violence against Palestinians have not only continued but also intensified.
Here's the news in brief, where we bring you even more top stories. Xenophobia is once again on the rise in South Africa, a country that hosts 3 million legal immigrants. People are hiding from mobs who are going door to door, warning them to leave before June 30th. This deadline was set by ultra-nationalist group March and March that blames undocumented migrants for rising unemployment and inflation.
We are tired of illegal immigrants who have flocked our country in numbers.
It got so dangerous this month that the South African and Malawian government arranged buses to transport Malawians out of the West Cape and KwaZulu-Natal province. Princess Ajay, a Ghanaian who was raised in South Africa and has been in the country legally since she was a toddler, is now living on the street after her salon was targeted and looted in May.
I can't pay my rent in the shop, I can't pay my rent at home, I can't feed my child, I can't feed my family. Everything just went zero. My whole life just went zero.
President Ramaphosa has urged people not to take the law into their hands.
Only the authorized government officials may act against violations of the law, including violations of our immigration laws. No other person is allowed, for example, to confront someone in the street, in the pathways of our country to demand proof.
But rights groups say the government is doing little to nothing, simply because they're concerned about alienating their voter base. Elsewhere in Africa, health groups are concerned that Ebola is spreading fast. The Democratic Republic of the Congo has seen another surge, with confirmed cases close to hitting the 1,000 mark, with another 200 confirmed deaths.
Mourners usually touch the disease as part of local funeral customs, but now the entire burial process is carried out by the safety team as relatives watch from a distance.
This strain of the virus, which has no vaccine, remains concentrated in the country's northeast, where war, displacement, and weak infrastructure are creating hurdles for medical teams. And while the DRC is battling a disease outbreak, the UK is busy battling illegal tankers passing through its waters. British forces boarded and seized an oil tanker which is part of Russia's Shadow Fleet, a network of hundreds of international tankers secretly transporting Russian oil to get around Western sanctions. The seized tanker, which was bound for Egypt, was carrying 700,000 barrels. The captain of the ship, an Indian national, appeared in court on Wednesday. And in a social media post, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked the UK for what he called taking this important step. Speaking of Zelensky, on Friday, Kyiv launched its largest attack on Moscow since the beginning of the war. The Russian capital was covered in plumes of smoke after drones struck an oil refinery. And Russia faces even more aggressive sanctions after the G7 summit in Evian, France, where the world's wealthiest countries gathered. One of the main talking points was the war in Ukraine. G7 countries agreed to explore additional sanctions targeting Russia's oil exports, banking sector, and weapon production to hopefully bring Moscow to the negotiating table. Zelensky also met with U.S. President Donald Trump on the sidelines, who says he wants peace in a conflict that shows no sign of ending.
There's a lot of people, a lot of soldiers are losing soldiers. Both are losing a lot. Russia's losing more because they're the offensive ones.
And here's a taste of our features from the World Cup.
It is a tournament built on the promise of global unity. But for the first time in modern history, at the time the tournament opened, a World Cup host had been in active conflict with one of the participating countries. And that diplomatic crisis forced FIFA to react.
I'm very happy because I went to see myself the Iranian team in Turkey. When people were saying, well, it would be impossible for Iran to come to the World Cup, I told them and I promised them that they would come, and if I had to go with a bus to Tehran and drive them here, I would do that.
Yet, despite Infantino's optimism, the reality on the ground has been vastly different. As tensions between Tehran and Washington remained high, Iran's route to the tournament became a logistical nightmare. The Iranian Football Federation says several key staff members were denied visas, forcing last-minute changes just days before kickoff.
Iran arrived in Mexico for their pre-tournament training camp after originally planning to base in Arizona. That switch came after visa complications disrupted those plans, despite all of Iran's group stage matches being scheduled in the United States.
Now, Iran's tournament will look like no other. The squad will repeatedly cross the border into the United States for their matches, before returning to their base in northern Mexico. These extraordinary travel logistics and visa problems have completely overshadowed preparations for their opening match against New Zealand. Fans who made travel plans have also been impacted, after the Iranian FA claimed ticket allocations for their supporters were abruptly revoked by the US earlier this week.
We are here to play football, and we are here to represent the respectful people of Iran, be it the Iranians inside Iran or the Iranian diaspora. We only think about our country. We are not political people. And the slogan of FIFA is this, that football is separate from politics. But the Iranian nation, we respect each and every Iranian.
But for Iran, separating sports from politics may prove impossible. Team Melli's path to the World Cup has unfolded under unprecedented circumstances. Before a ball has even been kicked, their campaign has been defined not by tactics and the beautiful game, but by borders, restrictions, and war.